Well, good morning. Today we read about the Transfiguration from Luke 9, verses 28 through 37. About 8 days after these sayings, he took with him Peter, John, and James, and went up on the mountain to pray. And as he was praying, the appearance of his face was altered, and his clothing became dazzling white. And behold, two men were talking with him, Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and those who were with him were heavy with sleep, but when they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men who stood with him. And as the men were parting from him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it's good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he said. As he was saying these things, a cloud came and overshadowed them. They were afraid as they entered the cloud, and a voice came out of the cloud saying, "This is my son, my chosen one. Listen to him." And when the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone. And they kept silent and told no one in those days anything of what they'd seen. Well, of course they didn't tell anybody because they would have been accused of being crazy. Everyone would have thought they were nuts to say something like this had happened. And I'm just looking back. Almost there. Luke. Yes. In Luke chapter 3, the voice from heaven at Jesus' baptism says, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I'm well pleased." Here the voice says, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." It's the same basic phrase. Peter's kind of reprimanded for his hastiness. He wants to build 3 booths, 3 tents, 3 little tabernacles, 3 shelters for Jesus and Moses and Elijah, so that they can each have a place to be out of the sun and rest, and this can be their new spot, their new shrine. And the cloud comes down and surrounds them on the top of the mountain, and the voice says, "No, we're not going to do that. This is my beloved Son. Listen to what he says." And what Jesus does is he leaves the mountain and goes back down, and he teaches the disciples some more. It's clear from what we read that Luke understands this. Moses and Elijah are speaking with Jesus about this thing that's going to happen, about the way he's going to die and the way, that he's going to go back to heaven and be resurrected, I suppose you could say. I mean, that is what happened. But all of that is written after the fact, of course. Luke knows what happened. Peter, James, and John at the moment have no idea that any of that's in the future. They haven't really heard Jesus when he's tried to explain it to them, and they don't know. And so they're just clueless. So many times the disciples are clueless. Jesus is very patient in explaining things, but basically they don't get it. Even after the resurrection, they didn't really get it at first. They were like, "Who is that guy? He just appeared somewhere." But they said it was Jesus, but really? How did that happen? How does that work? We can be equally clueless sometimes. The Spirit tells us to do something, and we're like, "What? Do what? You want us to do what?" We just need to learn to respond, react, and do what we're told, as it were, do what the Spirit leads us to do, and not worry so much about the ramifications or what it means, or we can't take care of everybody. We can just take care of one person at a time. Well, that's the way it is. So find somebody today let the Spirit lead you to find somebody that you can help, that you can listen to, that you can feed, that you can do something for. Try not to be clueless. That's my point. And well, that ought to be a big enough of an assignment. So do that today, and we will see you tomorrow morning.